Stupid Mando.
What are you doing?
You'll never...
We have a show to record. Brian.
What?
Put your toys down and do what I asked you to do.
Dude, I'm reenacting scenes from The Mandalorian. Dead or alive, you'll come with me. I think I was from RoboCop, but we can do this. You can do this. You can be cold or you can be warm. However you want to come is how we're gonna come.
You tell that walker.
Maybe we'll come together.
Tell that walker to self-destruct, Brian. Or
I just broke my Legos.
I'm going to self-destruct, Brian. I can't take this anymore.
Oh, come on, man. You don't
self-destructing.
You're just jealous that I got these sweet Mandalorian AT-AT here, or AT-ST, and you have nothing.
You've had that for a while, right? You just hadn't put it together yet?
No, I put it together a while ago. I got it on Force Friday a month ago. One of the things I saw, and I was like, oh, this is cool. They had almost nothing from The Mandalorian, but they did have this AT-ST, which I'm guessing is going to be in the new show at some point, but... yeah, I put it together. It's pretty sweet. Look at this. Chicken walker. You got a little thing you can spin the head.
Nice.
Yep. You got a bunch of characters inside. You can open it up. See?
Who may or may not be a part of the show. We don't know yet.
Well, we know he's in the show because we've seen him.
Yeah.
The Mandalorian. The man with no name.
The greatest bounty hunter to ever bounty hunt babies.
Listen.
Whoa.
We're not doing spoilers yet, Ryan, so you just bite your fucking tongue.
Oh, now we're not doing spoilers?
Well, we're going to do spoilers, we're just not doing them yet. Oh, whatever. You know what? Welcome, everybody, to episode 191 of the Geek Dad Report, the one show dedicated, formulated, specially created, into bringing you all the Mandalorian news you need to know, all while putting a little Star Wars smile on your beautiful faces. I am Brian, the Jedi killer.
And I am Ryan, who is in the dark Sith Lord corner of his house. Because I've been banished from all the places with too much pure light. I've had to sequester myself in a sack.
Did you forget to pay your bill again?
No, I did not. It's just the way that the housing situation worked out tonight for where people are sleeping. I did not get to go to my normal place, so recording.
Be honest. You skipped work today to do nothing but watch Disney Plus, and your wife came home, found out, and now you're grounded to the basement.
Actually, I did the adult thing today, Brian. While I was telework, I had the impeachment hearings on all day. So, but this is not a politics podcast.
Hey, I'm going to save you a lot of time on the next round. He's guilty as fuck. There you go.
Yeah. So, it was that was, but yes, I am in a not as well lit place in my house tonight.
That's all right. So, it's fine. Light side, dark side. It goes along with our Star Wars theme today. And if everyone hasn't guessed already, this is going to be a very Star Wars heavy episode. Because we had some big stuff happen this week. The launch of Disney Plus, the long-awaited launch of Disney Plus, and an even longer-awaited first look at a Star Wars live-action TV show. We've been promised this since 2005 when George Lucas first said that he was going to try and bring Star Wars to the small screen and live-action Star Wars. And we have been waiting, and we finally got our first look at what that looks like in The Mandalorian. And we are going to talk a lot about it tonight. So... normally we used to have some banter where Ryan talks about how his house is falling down and all he does is look at sports, and I usually talk about all the cool things I do in my life, but tonight we're going to skip all those things and talk about Star Wars.
What's the little arm thing about?
Oh. You gotta get him excited. Don't look. He gets nervous when people look. You ready? Here it comes. Whoop. Hang on. Whoop. Thumbs up, everybody. Yeah, and this I put together. So I got myself it was on sale on Amazon. I got myself the BB-8 Lego. If anybody hasn't noticed, my Lego addiction has gone just crazy. But anyway, I got this, and I put it all together while watching my beloved Seahawks on Monday Night Football because the game was too stressful, and I had so much nervous energy. I either had a binge drink or play with Legos, and so I put this bad boy together. And it's pretty cool, man. This thing's got some heft. Anybody looking for a Christmas present to get your Star Wars loving husband, boyfriend, or child, I would highly recommend, or girlfriend, not to judge here, I would recommend this awesome BB-8.
And look, I'd also recommend investing in a good kicker because if you can't kick a field goal and the other team does, that's how you lose a game. So.
Well, we don't have that problem, Ryan. We're 8-2. Yeah. Anyway, Star Wars. We have a huge episode for everybody. Like I said, we're going to talk a lot about the Disney Plus launch and about Disney Plus in general. And then later we're going to be reviewing the Mandalorian and the Watchmen, something we've been promising to do for a while. Me and Ryan both checked out. Yes. I checked out the first couple episodes. I think Ryan is all caught up. So we'll talk a lot about the Watchmen. And at the end of the show, we've got some great questions for everybody. No weekly recommendations this week because we're going to be talking so much about Mandalorian. And the spoiler alert, we recommend it highly. But yeah, like Ryan mentioned earlier, well, like he tried to spoil it earlier. We're going to have a full spoiler review of Mandalorian. And so I've got some inside information, too, about that show. So if you're watching it and you're like, I like Star Wars, but there was a lot of deep cuts I didn't quite understand. Or, oh, wait a minute. Did that person really just walk by The Mandalorian? We have all your answers on this show tonight.
I'm glad because my son and I tried to catch as many of the stuff as we could. I think we paused it a good 10 times just because we were just trying to make sure that we like, wait, is that someone that we're supposed to know? And then we would try and figure it out. And
yeah, I did that too. Well,
a lot of Easter eggs in The Mandalorian.
Hello. You want to know what you guys? Everybody want us to know what the Mandalorian looks like under his helmet? Ha! He has no face.
Oh!
Spoiler alert! There's your first
That's
spoiler, right? I found that watching it. I watched it with my whole family, and so it was actually kind of nice. So I couldn't pause it and constantly keep rewinding it because I knew that if I watched it by myself, I would do exactly what you were talking about. Like, oh, what was that? What was that? I just wanted to enjoy the episode. So I've only had a chance to watch it one time. I'm going to go back and watch it again. Why is my phone going off? Shut up, phone. I'm going to go back and watch it again, obviously, a couple times over the weekend. But
we're getting messages from
shut up, Chris! Quit messaging us. We're recording our show. The hell?
Thanks,
anyway,
meat.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, so so we got some stuff we'll talk about tonight. It'll be fun. But besides that, I think it's time for Star Wars news, Ryan.
Yeah.
It's time for Jedi news, Ryan. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You ready for Jedi news? Are you ready for the double lightsaber spin, twist, kick, flip of knowledge?
Oh, I am.
Are you sure?
Are you ready for...
You really seem like you had to think about it. Are you ready? Are you ready, Ryan? For the kick, twist, flip, double lightsaber to the face, Sith holocron of knowledge?
Yes. And then we're going to do the Jedi leg sweep.
Ooh. Actually,
just blasting your whole body.
That applies. And then we're going to do the little baby Yoda backflip of learning.
No.
That's not a spoiler with no context, Ryan.
Spoiler alert, Brian.
Not a spoiler alert. You're a spoiler alert.
I
can smell you from here. You've spoiled.
Because
don't be mad at me. You're the one who's grounded in the basement.
About when we get to the Mandalorian, because
you should have went to work today. What is that? Is that your dog's foot?
That is my dog's foot. What? He's late.
Why is there? I'm like, what? For something like a chicken leg. I'm like, what's going on in there? What's going on in your basement?
He's literally just sitting here next to me, and he's been snoring for like the last hour.
Listen, it's not the dog's fault that you skipped work and watched Disney Plus all day. The dog should not be grounded to the basement with you.
He's a good boy. He just likes to lay. He'd always, for some reason, I am the person that he likes to lay next to. So, yeah. So he's sleeping. If you hear snoring, that's my dog. He keeps rolling around.
I can't even with you right now.
What?
I just can't with you right now.
I've heard your dog snoring his ass, snoring away while we were recording.
That's not the dog snoring. That's usually the dog farting.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, if we can put our goddamn messenger away, quit texting us.
Let's do this.
Sorry, everybody. Our friends in our group keep popping up here, and it's distracting me. All right, here we go. On to the show, Ryan. News. So let's start with the big news of the week. Disney Plus launched yesterday amongst some, I guess it's controversy. There's a lot of people who were complaining about it being buggy, like it wasn't loading. They try and hit the content, it wouldn't show up. They couldn't sign in. Here's my thing. Did those things happen? Yeah, probably. So one person complained that they were online with with technical support for over an hour, and I'm like, it is day one of a streaming service launch that 10 million subscribers have subscribed to, and they all wanted to log in at the same time and watch The Mandalorian. So, of course, it wasn't working right.
Yeah, and of course, Disney's highest expectations of what it was going to be just got absolutely shattered.
10 million subscribers in day one. That is incredible. I mean, I think there's something like 300 million subscribers in Netflix. Obviously that's the standard at this point. But all things considered, 10 million subscribers at launch is incredible.
Yeah. That's what? Let's see. So they're all paying $6.99 for 10 million people?
Well, some people, like me, paid $150 for a 3-year subscription. So, I mean, here's the thing. It's already, that many subscribers is ginormous, because like I couldn't go anywhere today without somebody asking me, 1, if I had Disney Plus, 2, if I'd seen The Mandalorian, 3, oh, what do I think about Disney Plus and should they subscribe? And I'm like, yes, immediately.
Yeah. So even my wife, who usually doesn't get like into the streaming services, she went ahead, because I was just going to take care of, like, we were going to get a bundle.
Yeah, because you bundled it with what? Hulu?
And she went ahead and like just did the free week subscription, and she started watching stuff without me, without anybody, because she was at home by herself, during the day. So, but she kept texting me like, it keeps crashing, it's not working. Like, well, what? That's what you get for trying to watch all the Disney Plus stuff without me.
Now, I will say that. So I logged in. I rolled over because I think it launched at 9 East. It was supposed to launch at like 9 a.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
I rolled over out of bed about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I just I went to the App Store and I was like, oh, okay, there's the Disney Plus app. I got it. I logged in.
Yeah.
And it didn't show. So like when I logged in, it didn't show every single, like, how it has the 5 categories that you can choose from. It wouldn't show me those ones, but like I could still hit the things that popped up and it would play. It was just really sluggish. I could tell there's a lot of traffic on the site. But it worked for me, and I'm sure everybody had their issues, and there were certain devices. I heard a lot of problems with the Amazon Fire Stick. But in my experience, I've had problems with Amazon Fire Stick in the past with anything. So I did it on all my iOS devices. I did it on my LG TV. I did it on my Apple TV, my iPod, or my iPhone, my iPad, and it works seamlessly. I haven't had any issues. I just loaded it tonight on my kid's Roku, and it works really great on that too. So, whatever the issues were, it seems like they kind of hashed them out, and now that the traffic is not everybody at once and kind of moving like it's supposed to, it seems like it's working pretty fine, or pretty well.
Yeah, we have it on our Fire TV, and we haven't had any issues whatsoever.
And honestly, I could say, all things considered, I remember when I first got Netflix, man, the interface was just trash. It took forever to find anything. It was always loading. It was crap. Honestly, the interface on this Disney Plus app is actually really nice. Like, it's smooth. Yeah. It's well organized. I like how it's broken down in different categories. Have
you gone to like movies and then all, and then after you're scrolling down for a good 5 minutes, you find out you're still only in the D's.
Oh, I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, so like you're like, just look at like all the movies. So you'll be sitting there going through it, and then you're like, wow, Disney does have a lot of movies, because I've been scrolling down looking at movies for 5 minutes, and I'm still only on letter,
So I'll say this, I know we had talked about the amount of content this was going to have. It was quite a bit, but I think people should, temper their expectations, because at the time we were only going to get like 5 or 6 Marvel movies, and we weren't sure which Star Wars properties we were going to get on there at launch. So I think we told everyone, like, hey, don't expect a ton. There's still going to be a lot of good back catalog, but they're not loading everything. I can honestly say I started scrolling through. Now, I forgot about Fox. I'm like, oh, look, The Sandlot. Oh, yeah. Look. I'm like, oh, my God, all these Fox movies are on here.
Yeah. The number one, the most popular thing on, or at least what shows up for me, is The Simpsons right now. So.
Well, they are heavily promoting The Simpsons. If you like The Simpsons, all 30 seasons are available right now on Disney+. 30 seasons. There is... Like, we were just wrong. Like, there's so much content on here. I don't even know what to say. Like, it's massive amounts of content.
Literally every Star Wars thing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was in heaven. I just went to Star Wars, and they had all the Clone Wars, all the Rebels, every short, all the movies. Now, it is missing The Last Jedi and Solo. Those are due to the Netflix streaming rights that Netflix has until early next year. So, I think it's The Last Jedi we're supposed to get December 26th, and Solo is going to be next June. So those will still continue to be on Netflix. But I mean, I already own those, so I can stream them on like Vudu anytime I want to. But everything else, and the most important thing is that they didn't just release the HD versions. These are all the 4K versions of all these movies. Yeah. So I went on A New Hope last night and just started watching it. It looks incredible. I'm not even gonna lie. I mean, it just looks gorgeous. I'm like, holy shit. It looks like it could have been made like yesterday. It's great.
Oh, I didn't even know about the 4K stuff.
Yeah, it's all in 4K. And I have a 4K TV, or if you're watching it like off a new iPhone or tablet, those are all in 4K too. It looks, I mean, it's gorgeous. And also, if you go to like A New Hope, it automatically plays in 4K if you have the 4K capability. If not, it's HD. And then you can go to special features, and it has all the deleted scenes, any director's commentary. Like, it has everything you could get on the best Blu-ray, and it's all right there on the app, which is awesome. I know Netflix doesn't do that.
Does it have the MACLUNKey or whatever?
Okay, all right. So we want to talk about McClunky. Well, I was gonna say that for later, but since you
McClunky or whatever,
McClunky. So I started hearing about this, and this is partly why I went to watch A New Hope. So it came to my attention that there was yet another edit. So anybody who's not familiar with this, the original 1977 version of Star Wars has, the Han Solo Greedo scene. And if you don't know who Greedo is, I don't know how you found our show, but Greedo is the green alien that Han Solo just shoots right in the face. So basically, Greedo is a bounty hunter who's come, on orders of Jabba the Hutt to get Han. And he's like, tell Jabba I'll pay him his money. And he's like, whatever, maybe he'll just take your ship. And anyway, it's pretty clear in the scene, even when I was younger, that Greedo was going to shoot Han Solo. And so Han just said fuck it and shot him. Shot him under the table before Greedo could kill him, right? Whatever, classic moment. Well, apparently George Lucas that's always bugged him, because he thinks it makes Han Solo to be a murderer, and he doesn't want Han Solo to be a murderer. So when he did his special editions, which for the most part I like the special editions, he changed the scene awkwardly to have Greedo shoot first and Han kind of do this weird like head bob and then shoot Greedo. So it's always been, most people have hated it. George Lucas has tweaked it like 2 or 3 times to try and make it better. Well, apparently he has tweaked it yet again.
You just can't get over the scene.
He's changed 2 things. One, he sped it up so now Greedo and Han shoot at the exact same time. And right before Greedo shoots, so they have their dialogue, oh, maybe Jabba will just take your ship over my dead body. And then out of nowhere, it zooms into Greedo's face, and he says, McClunky. and then they shoot each other, right?
McClunky.
McClunky. Now, the internet went nuts, right? Trying to figure out what the hell McClunky was. And then it came out that George Lucas himself did this edit. This wasn't a Disney thing. This wasn't like some weird like retcon. No, George Lucas did it, and so everyone's like, what the hell is McClunky? I read some of the best fanfic of all time. Like, somebody had laid out a whole backstory about how McClunky was Greedo's partner who only had 3 days left till he retired and Han Solo killed him. And so he was yelling McClunky. So it was like a revenge thing.
Was within hours of retirement.
Yeah.
And Han Solo screwed him over.
Some people were talking about how McClunky was like, you have to poop. And I mean, there was this like, it's so, I spent all day today just laughing my ass off reading like what people thought McClunky was. So apparently some Eagle Eye fans, because Star Wars fans sometimes are the best, had pointed out that in the Phantom Menace, Sebulba says McClunky to Anakin during right before the pod race scene. And in that movie, unlike A New Hope, so when they add McClunky, there's no translation, so you don't know what it means. But apparently in A Phantom Menace, when he says McClunky, it basically translates to like, this will be the end of you. So it looks like George Lucas added this to try and add a little more because Greedo was there in The Phantom Menace in a deleted scene. He was trying to get more connective tissue. I don't care. I've watched it. It's so awkward. It looks like a fan edit because it's the scene, then all of a sudden it's Greedo's face like, McClunky, and then they shoot each other. It's fucking great. I love it. I wish.
It's one of those weird things that you're like, what was the point of this? Like, you just woke up and like, you know,
McClunky,
like, oh
Ryan.
God,
McClunky.
there's that spot. There's that, you know, that spot on my window. So I'm just gonna throw a rock through the window, you know, and then replace the window.
Here's my thing. So I think, honestly, at this point, I mean, George Lucas is just always going to tinker with this until, you know, whatever. Now, apparently this is the edition. So George Lucasfilms was underway of rendering these into 4K long before Disney bought them. So a lot of people pointed out that this probably was done before it was sold to Disney. And so when Disney bought the 4K rendition, there was no point in, you know, changing anything. So they just posted it. But I like to think that Disney and George Lucas have some kind of a deal, and that every 3 or 4 months or so, they're going to let George Lucas just randomly change something about Star Wars and not tell anybody.
Yeah. And just see if anybody catches it.
Dude, I would love it, right? You know, keep the originals so you can watch them, but just every now and then throw in like in Return of the Jedi when Vader and Luke are riding the elevator up to meet the Emperor, or up to the shuttle. Like, somebody should just rip one in the elevator. Just add in like a fart noise. just random stuff like that. I'm telling you, I would love it. You know how much more I'd watch those if I knew every single month they were going to change one thing and then replace it with something else later. So like 1 month Luke farts in the elevator, but then it's gone the next month and they add something else. Just to keep watching and try to figure out.
Everybody's going to rewatch all the movies just so they could find like what new.
That's what I mean, man. I would do it all the time. Side note, though, I do want a spinoff called the McClunky Chronicles about his partner that was almost going to retire. So that needs to happen. But yeah, that was one of the many things that had the internet up in not arms, but besides the Mandalorian, many people were. We've been talking a lot of Star Wars on the Twitter sphere, but I mean, Disney Plus.
Give it up. Please, just stop.
No, keep going. It's fun. As long as it's not hateful, this is the stuff I do like about Star Wars. What I hate is when everyone wants to talk shit about The Last Jedi. What I like is when people want to make backstories from McClunky. Makes me laugh. But other than that, you know, I mean, Disney Plus, the launch has been great. Everything looks really good. I haven't obviously had a chance to look at everything yet, but before we move on to some other news, what is some, going through the titles, what were some gems that you were not expecting that you saw that you were like, oh my God, it's here. All of it.
I think, like, what was it? Mostly just, like, like, the stuff that they said that they were talking about adding in, like, gargoyles and stuff like that.
All 3 seasons of gargoyles.
I didn't read anything that said that it was for sure that they were going to add those in.
Yeah.
They were just, like, so, like, gargoyles, so what was the other one that my wife and I saw that we were pretty excited about? It's like one of the, like, just like some of the older movies that, you know, we may have had like on VHS or something. So we never had a chance to buy it on digital or Blu-ray or anything like that. And then, you know, like Willow, like I wasn't expecting to see
Neither was I. I was real pissed. So Willow was released by MGM, right? So I just assumed that it would not be, that there was going to be kind of like the Hulk, Incredible Hulk, why it's not on here, some like distribution deals. So I actually, the family wanted to watch Willow the other day, and I was like, man, I'm not watching it on DVD. I'll just buy it on digital. So 2 weeks ago, I spent $20 to buy Willow on digital, and I see it on the streaming service, and I almost threw my phone.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So the digital one that you bought, is it 4K or anything like that?
Yeah, it's the best rendition they have. It's super nice. So I'm not like, listen, I'm not sad I bought it, but yeah, I mean, Willow's on here. That is incredible. Some of the other things, some of the classics, like you said, like Escape from Witch Mountain, The Black Hole, some of these like Disney movies from the 80s that were scary as shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the, Remember the Titans was on there. Like, my wife was talking, we were like, we wanted to watch a sports movie, with the kids, and we're trying to think, what would be like. I was like, well, what about Remember the Titans? But we couldn't find it on.
They had a lot of good ones. They had The Rookie. They had Sandlot, like I said. They had Rookie of the Year. They had a lot of, what's the one? Invincible. They had a lot of the really good Disney sports. But did you see Mighty Ducks? I don't know if I saw Mighty Ducks on there.
It's on there.
Is it on there? Okay. I mean, they've got all the great Disney sports movies. Dude, there's so many classic Disney movies that I'd actually forgotten about that are on here. And they got like Sound of Music, Mary Poppins. I mean, they've got so many things on here. But the thing that really got me excited, besides some of the older movies, was the entire X-Men animated series is on here, which is bad. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, but it's still X-Men. All the animated series they had, so like, we talk about Star Wars, they had the entire Rebels, all 4 seasons of Rebels, the entire Clone Wars run on there. They have all the Spider-Man animated series. They had the original Avengers series, the new Avengers series. They have all the new like Guardians of the Galaxy shows. All the new cartoons that they've done recently are on there, plus all the ones from like the 90s and the 2000s were on there, which is really cool. Like you said, they had all the Marvel movies. They had Gargoyles, and then the other animated stuff that got me so excited, they had the entire like Disney animated block. They had Tailspin. They had Gargoyles. They had Goof Troop. They had Chippendales Rescue Rangers. Like they had Darkwing Duck. They have them all, and I'm just like, yes. Yeah.
Well, my kids were excited for Darkwing Duck because we had a bunch of the DVDs, and then we cast them in the car, and the kids didn't take care of them, so they got pretty scratched up and stuff. So they're pretty excited to rewatch all the Darkwing Ducks again.
Yeah, well, dude, I'm excited. You know how long it's been since I watched them, but my kids were ecstatic. So, I mean, we put on the Disney app, and I guess it makes sense. Like, they love Netflix, but they hate that a lot of the stuff on Netflix isn't for them, right? And so when we got this app, they realized, like, literally they could watch anything on it. And you would have thought it was Christmas. Why Disney didn't launch this on Christmas so I could just wrap it up in a box? Oh,
and they had a bunch of Christmas movies on there, too.
They got
we watched the new one, Noel.
Isn't he good?
And, it's got, what's his name?
Bill Heater?
It's,
Is that the one with Bill Heater?
Live.
Yeah, Bill Heater.
Yeah, Bill Hader, and why can't I think of the people's names? The girl from that singing show movie.
I don't know.
Whatever. We watched that. It was a decent Christmas movie. They have all the Santa Claus movies on there. Don't have Prep and Landing, but we were kind of. I think that's on
the special. That was pretty funny. The elves one.
Yeah,
that's pretty good. I'm sure listen, I'm sure that they're going to add more and more stuff. A lot of their Disney stuff is tied up in licensing deals. I think that's why we didn't see some of it. And of course they're probably going to keep some in the vault. But honestly, they had almost all their classic Disney movies. Like, I don't know what's left in the vault. There wasn't a ton of Fox stuff, but the inclusion of a lot of Fox stuff was shocking. There's just a ton of content on here. They had practically every Pixar movie, just about every Marvel movie, just about every Star Wars movie. I mean, And the thing is, and even the National Geographic stuff was pretty cool. They had a lot of good National Geographic stuff on there.
I watched the Jeff Goldblum show.
I haven't watched that yet. I mean, and the originals, they had the Mandalorian, they had the High School Musical, which I haven't watched yet, but my kids are, like I said, my kids are super excited. They're upstairs right now watching Disney Plus, and I don't know if they're going to watch anything else besides Disney Plus for probably a month. But yeah, I mean, it's so much more than I thought, and I'm really looking forward to kind of, this is definitely where Netflix is all about different content. This is about nostalgia content, and
oh yeah,
it is. They are not shying away from it, and it makes you happy just to have it. And you're just like, yes, I have all this in one place.
My within the first 10 minutes of going through all the stuff with my wife, she's like, I am so glad that we got this now.
Yeah, I mean, and not just that.
And for us, like once a week we do family movie night. We'll order pizza, we have pizza, and we'll pick a movie and stuff like that. And we've been kind of running into this thing where we go through Netflix and we try and find something on Netflix and we can't really find anything. And then we've ended up the last couple of months where we probably watched like the same couple of movies at least twice or something.
Yeah.
With this, I mean, we got tons of new movies that my wife and I want to watch.
Well, like my wife hasn't watched Captain Marvel yet. We're going to watch that. The new Dumbo is on there, the live-action Dumbo. They have the live-action Lady and the Tramp movie.
I don't think we'll watch Dumbo. I hated Dumbo.
I did too, but I kind of want to watch the new one because it's Tim Burton, and it looks like a just train wreck.
It doesn't... nothing about Dumbo appeals to me.
Yeah,
so we'll see, but... I mean, we're just excited because for at least family movie nights for us, once a week, it won't be that hard to find something.
Well,
to
and
watch.
to your point, Disney Plus it's been one day at my house and it's already the new go-to app. Like, ooh, let's find something on. We're immediately going to Disney Plus first before we go anywhere else. So, I mean, let's face it, people, if you're on the fence, sorry, Disney Plus is part of our lives and it's going to be a monster. I mean, this thing is, Netflix absolutely should be terrified. I mean, Apple Plus launched. I have a free year subscription to Apple Plus that I haven't even activated yet because I don't care about it at all. And, and it's just the difference between launches. Like, okay, Warner Brothers, like, cool. I like Star Trek, but CBS All Access I still haven't subscribed to. I've got day one of Disney Plus, and I'm already like, ooh, I wonder what else is on Disney Plus. I'm going to go. Mm-hmm. You know what? I'm going to stream all the Clone Wars again. There we go. Let's do this, right? So,
yep. So my son and I have decided that we're gonna watch all the Clone Wars and then we're gonna go to Rebels and Resistance.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same. I will warn you, Resistance is rough, but the Clone Wars and Rebels are amazing. All right, okay, and lastly, moving on. So there was a little bit of, I wouldn't say controversy surrounding, other than the technical issues with Disney Plus. A lot of people found, so one of the big things over the last year or so is people have brought up that, hey, a lot of the things that we used to love when we were younger have some problematic things now, right? So like for instance, a lot of the cartoons, especially like Looney Tunes and like things like Dumbo, and of course the infamous Song of the South movie made by Disney in the 40s, I think it was 40s or early 50s, where it basically showed a black man talking about all the joys of working on a plantation, which is clearly problematic. Yeah. It brought to light that, hey, things were different back then, and unfortunately a lot of our media reflected that. Especially now you look back and it's just awful, but, at the time, it's kind of what they did. And so some of these movies like Dumbo have scenes in it where, they are... they portray different cultures and different races very poorly. And so, so there was this kind of movement that Disney had talked about maybe removing some of these scenes from their movies, and this is even before Disney Plus, or should they keep it? Some people said, hey, you shouldn't erase the past. Some people said, yeah, get rid of it. Some people said, just get rid of these movies altogether. That being said, movies like Song of the South, Disney refuses to even re-release or do anything with, because, I mean, hey, there are some things that are so bad you should just not say, hey, we never made this, but, like, listen, we're not redistributing this. This was a mistake, right? But movies like Dumbo that are beloved by many people that have one or two scenes or a song that seems kind of suspect, what do you do with it, right? And so a lot of people had thought that Disney was going to remove these scenes from the movies. And so what ended up happening is when Disney Plus launched, Dumbo launched, and they found out that like, hey, that the scene featuring some basically Jim Crow era crows,
literally a crow named Jim Crow.
Yeah, Jim Crow, which is obviously very problematic. They did not remove the scene. Instead, what they did is in the where they have the description of the show, they put a disclaimer that said this program is presented as originally created. It may contain outdated cultural descriptions, and so they've slapped those on a lot of their older stuff. Some of their older Mickey Mouse cartoons have problems. This isn't new. Warner Brothers actually did recently. Let's see if I can find it here. Warner Brothers actually had one where they went even further. Where'd it go?
Oh yeah, they said they kind of made more of a statement with theirs. It was more like a company kind of statement, like this is our position on where these things were. And
everything. I can't find it, but yeah, they said, hey, these things have outdated references of the depict races and things that are terrible. But we don't want to erase it because it did happen, and we want to make sure that people know going forward that this is not the way that we want to do things, right? So, a lot of people are.
Good statement. So.
Yeah, I think it's a great statement, and I think Disney holds the same stance. I mean, should they put that on every single one of their things? I don't know. I do think it's kind of funny they didn't even say anything. I think they just kind of hoped that nobody would notice and they'd move on. But but there was a large debate, a huge debate going on whether these things should be canceled, changed, or left alone. And so we don't spend much time on it. I've always kind of been on the side that you should leave things as they are, and people should take ownership of the things that they did, and they're there. Because, I mean, if you start taking all these scenes out of movies, right, and obviously they are problematic, but if you take them out, then it's like they never happened, right?
I mean, that's what you're doing. If you take them out, you're changing the movie. I mean...
Well, you're changing the movie, and you're trying to pretend like, oh, we didn't do some racist things back then. I think obviously...
You're being like Ben Affleck when he found out that his family were slave owners.
Yeah,
and he asked the show not to include that in there because you don't want it to look bad.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't want this kind of stuff going forward by any means whatsoever. And if Disney were to come out with a movie today with a character named Jim Crow, they absolutely should not release that, and they should be in trouble for those kind of things. But I don't think we can be mad at Disney and tell them to cancel the things that they did a long time ago. All we can do is say, hey, listen, we want you to acknowledge that this isn't acceptable. Obviously not do it going forward, which Disney hasn't, at least not to my knowledge. But I don't think we should ever get rid of these things. We need to know, like, hey, we need to see. We need to let kids know, like, hey, this is things the way they were back then. It was wrong. They shouldn't do this. It's not acceptable, right?
And this is, it's you can't change the past. I mean, but you can educate, to create, a better present. I mean, and did Disney try to do that? Yeah, I think there was more. They were just trying to cover their asses a little bit, other than trying to make like any kind of like cultural statement or anything like that.
I think if Disney could have gotten rid of Dumbo, they would have. Unfortunately, Dumbo is so beloved, which I don't know why. It's one of the weirdest fucking cartoons I've ever seen. Movie. But it's such a beloved classic that I think they just were like, we got to make a choice, and I think they made the right choice. I am not a big fan of going back in the past and trying to, no pun intended, whitewash the past, and just and try and pretend like things didn't happen. I mean, they happened. People had very horrible views of people back in those days, and we should never forget that people did, and that people can change, and we should change. And I think the best way to never forget that those things happen. People say things like, oh, this will never happen again, or these bad things could never happen again. Well, they didn't happen. They happened, and they weren't that long ago. And it's you want to be reminded of the way that things were so the way you don't go back to those, right? So I think Disney's fine to leave it just a disclaimer and leave these things in. And I think people who are just real mad, don't watch it then. If it offends you so badly that you're just angry, then just don't watch.
You have to go to Twitter and write a 7-page or 7-thread, response to how this, find something better to do with your time. Yeah. Honestly, it's just take it what it is. Disney is recognizing that yes, some stuff is not going to be as culturally accurate. Could they have done a better job? Yes, they could have, but at least they did something and without just pulling it and
to be fair, Warner Brothers had to put out a massive statement because if you watch a lot of the old Looney Tunes, they are racist as shit.
Oh god, Bugs Bunny!
Oh my god, they are so bad. Like Disney's got some they have some overtly racist things, but like, I mean, they're usually like a couple characters here and there where like the whole Looney Tunes segment was about like some horrible race thing. It was
anything Asian is really bad with Looney Tunes.
But I mean, like I said, if Disney Plus was like remastered Song of the South and put it right on their front page of how proud they are of this movie, this would be a different conversation. But that's not what they're doing, and I think it's fine. I'll talk to my kids and I'll sit and I'll watch it with them, and I'll be like, "Hey guys, this is the way they used to depict black people back in the day. It's awful. We should never do that."
Yeah, and learn from it.
Yeah, and if they don't want to watch Dumbo again, I wouldn't make them.
Move on, people. Move on. There are way more things that you could be doing. You could be watching way better shows on Disney Plus instead of just sitting there complaining about the disclaimer.
Yeah. So anyway, whatever. Maybe I'm sure Disney will probably. There's been enough people backlashing. They'll probably alter the disclaimer a little bit more, make it a little more intense. Like here we go. Here's the Warner Brothers one. Make it more like this Warner Brothers one. Let's see here. Let me pull this up. It says, if it wants to pull up, it says, okay, the cartoons you are about to see are products of their time. They may depict some of the ethnic and racial prejudices that were commonplace in American society. These depictions were wrong then and we represent and wrong today. While the following does not represent the Warner Brothers view of today's society, these cartoons are being presented as they originally were created because to do otherwise would be to claim these prejudices never existed. So they're not wrong. So I don't know. I'm sure Disney will probably come out with something that is more in line with that. I think people maybe are a little angry that they weren't just like immediately crushing it right off the bat. So, but whatever. Just FYI, if you are watching some of these older cartoons with your kids, be aware that Disney is not scrubbing some of these things, and be prepared to have conversations with your kids about like, hey, this is why it's wrong. And personally, I think that's the right way to do it anyways, apparently.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, say your piece and move on. There are way bigger things going on.
All right.
Need to be talked about.
Okay, so we obviously want to get into, we've already kind of really long, as you can tell, we're excited about Disney Plus. We ran a little, we spent all of our time, blew our metaphorical news load on that. But there are a couple of stories I want to talk about, so we'll try and blow through some news real quick before we get to our reviews of Mandalorian. And maybe we'll have to wait for, maybe we'll have to do Watchmen next week. We'll see.
All right,
or maybe we'll see what I have to do. Okay, we'll get through the news. All right, so
let's do Watchmen, but you have to promise me you're going to at least watch episode 3.
Okay, well,
next week.
Well, if we do Watchmen on the next episode, I'll be caught up. But hang on, let's get through the news and we'll see how we feel after this. All right, so on the heels of Disney Plus launching and everyone forgetting there was other streaming services, they did their best to try and make people remember that we're here too. DC Universe, which will probably soon become HBO Max, announced that Titans had renewed for season 3, so that's good news. Netflix announced today that The Witcher, which has not even been released yet for season 1, has already been renewed for season 2. So hey, there you go. I guess they really like that show. Let's see what else. Disney Plus. Back to Disney Plus. Apparently, Mighty Ducks is getting a reboot on Disney Plus. Hey, look at
that. It's going to be a show, though, right?
Yes. It's going to be a show.
Are they going to get what's his name to come back as the coach, like a GM?
I don't know. Emilio Estevez better be in the movie at least a little bit, so we'll see. Some other things that we got some news about release dates. Into the Spider-Verse officially gets a sequel. It's coming out 2022, so we have a little ways. 3 years away, so animation takes a while. Ant-Man 3 has officially been announced, and it's coming out in 2022 as well.
Yeah.
Whatever. Who cares? It's a Marvel movie. We'll all go watch it, so yay. Fantastic Beasts 3 has officially been announced for starting production. The release date, I believe they're eyeing 2020? Oh, no, sorry. It starts 2020 for a 2021 release. This one apparently is going to be in Rio de Janeiro. And the thing that actually gets me the most excited is apparently J.K. Rowling is actually for this one. She's still writing the script, but she's not writing it alone. She's teaming up with the script writer of the original Harry Potter movies.
Ooh, that's cool.
My guess is that, you know, as much as I really like the Fantastic Beasts movies, they tend to be more like books than movies. And I think having her, because these are her first scripts, I think having her maybe team up with a talented scriptwriter will help streamline these movies a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And you know, give them a little more punch for the movies than we've gotten. So hey, there's that. Yeah. And then lastly, God. Fast and Furious 9 is apparently finished wrap production. I didn't even know it was shooting. Apparently this one's going to space. I'm not even joking.
Well, the last one they moved a rocket with just their bodies or something.
Last time it was Vin Diesel versus a submarine, so that was interesting. The Penguin has officially cast Andy Serkis as Alfred and Colin Farrell as the Penguin. So interesting cast choices.
Nice.
Gerard Butler's Fallen franchise, which is him, you know, protecting the president from being murdered, is apparently getting 3 more movies and a TV show.
The last movie was terrible, so I do not understand this at all.
Which one? The second one or the third one? Because they've all been pretty bad.
Oh, God. So there's the first one, and then the second one they were in London, right?
Yeah, second one was they blew up London.
And then I don't even know what
third one was Angel Has Fallen. Third one was they think he tries to kill the president and they try and kill him. I don't know, man. Whatever. James Dean has been cast in a Vietnam action movie, which is pretty cool news, especially since James Dean has been dead for 60 years.
Yeah, because there's no other actor.
Oh, God. The thing that actors are all afraid of is officially happening. Yeah. They are now casting dead people in movies. Ugh, God. You know what? I would have more to say about this if we had more time. I'm just going to say, to your point, there's other fucking people. Just cast an actor.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, screw it. No other stories really we need to talk about, I guess. Lastly, Terminator Dark Fate and Doctor Sleep, 2 expectedly big movies over the last couple weekends, have absolutely bombed at the box office, and it's leaving Hollywood going, what do we do? Are all our everyone's favorite IPs, can we actually make more movies?
Well, and the thing, because I know you saw both of them, and
yeah, I saw both, and honestly, they're both really good movies.
And the thing is, every critic or thing that I read or a person that I know that saw, at least for Terminator Dark Fate, that's all the critics and anyone that I've talked to that have seen it said it was good. So,
yeah, I mean, Terminator 3 is a great follow-up. I mean, I will say this. At least, we're probably not going to get any Terminator movies for a while. And I think part of the problem with this Terminator movie is the last 3 Terminator movies have been so bad that I think people are just tired of Terminator.
Well, and, you know, you have to watch 1 and 2 just to kind of get to where this is. And remember, those ones came out in, like, early 80s?
Well, I think if this one was Terminator 3, the real Terminator 3, like when that one came out, I think this would have done a huge business. It's just, it's diminishing returns, and to your point, kids nowadays don't even know what a Terminator is. Like, this is our generation, and most of our generation are probably just going to watch it when it comes out on video, because if you really want to watch a Terminator movie, you can just watch Terminator 1 or 2.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you pretty much hit it on the nail, at least when it comes to the Terminator movies. The IP is so past, like, the current generation that they would have had to have done a complete reboot just to get to, you know, this point. So
yeah, and I think that's part of the problem is to your point. I mean, even a reboot, I just think this is a tired franchise. I think this is headed for maybe like a TV series, and it's too bad. It's a good movie. I took my wife, who just recently watched Terminator 1 and 2, and she really liked the third one a lot. I mean, it's a good movie. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I will say this, if nothing else, I'm glad it got made, because you can literally just take Terminator 1, Terminator 2, and Terminator 3, or Dark Fate, as your trilogy, and it wraps up the Sarah Connor storyline in one nice kind of tight arc. So I would, and honestly, Arnold, I mean, there's no reason for Arnold to be in these going forward. Like, this is a good end point if you had to end it. So, you know, whatever. I think they need to shelve this for a while, maybe do a TV show, and clearly it's not making money, and the fans. I do think this is going to do really well, like on Netflix or wherever it ends up on demand. I think I think it's going to have a ton of downloads, and I think people are going to. It's going to have a second life and probably become a little bit of a cult classic. I think.
I'm waiting for it to hit the streaming services. Yeah. I mean, I'm one of those people that I'm just waiting for it to hit the streaming service. So
I will say, if you get a chance, I would recommend seeing this one in the theater because the action is incredible, and you're going to kick yourself later when you watch it at home that you didn't see this in the theater.
Yeah, I'm sure I will.
and as far as Dr. Sleep, another really good movie that really people try to make this like it's a sequel to The Shining. One, I think Dr. Sleep bombed because one, nobody knows what the fuck Dr. Sleep is. I know they keep saying a sequel to The Shining, but like once again, I don't
remember any marketing for this movie.
Well, and once again, even if you did see the marketing about The Shining, like when you see The Shining, are you dying for a sequel to The Shining?
No.
And the people who saw The Shining and love The Shining, once again, is an older generation. And Dr. Sleep isn't even really about The Shining. It's about like soul vampires. Like it's a good movie. I really liked it a lot, but and it ties into The Shining, but I just think the market, I think they didn't realize that people like The Shining, but they don't like it enough that they're going to go pay $13 to go see a sequel of it, right? This movie they needed to market on its own, and I don't think it first of all has a terrible title. Dr. Sleep is not a good title of a movie. Number two, like they didn't do a good job of like this is really a vampire movie. Like this is a telekinetic vampire X-Men superhero horror movie is what this is.
It sounds good to me, but it just needs a better name.
Yeah, it's an X-Men psychic vampire horror movie by Stephen King. If you would have played it as that, I think it would have done much better than what it ended up doing. So, I mean...
You would have had more people talking about it, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you could have said, like, a sequel set in the Shining world. Like, people are like, oh, cool, it's got tie into the Shining. Oh, and it's got psychic vampires. It's a good movie, man. I really enjoyed it. And it's what I like about it is you'd probably like it. It's less horror and more like thriller. It's just really creepy.
I'll check it out when it hits the streaming services.
Well, there you go. And once again, I have a feeling this is another one of those ones that's going to do gangbusters when it hits Netflix or wherever it hits. So whatever. But we're not doing recommendations this week, so I'll give a quick couple. If you're looking for a good movie to go see, Terminator Dark Fate and Dr. Sleep. The best part about Dr. Sleep is you don't have to have seen The Shining to really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously it helps, but whatever.
Because not everybody can sit through The Shining.
Yeah, so anyway. All right, well, there is all the news. And like we said, we're skipping weekly recommendations this week because we're going to talk about The Mandalorian. So we're about 50 minutes in. Do you want to try and do a Watchmen and Mandalorian, or we just want to do Mandalorian and then questions?
Let's do Mandalorian, and then when you get caught up on the Watchmen, we can just do the whole thing.
Okay, so on next episode, we'll do a review of the Watchmen series so far. We'll do a little more spoilers since people have had time to check it out, and we'll kind of check that out. I think we'll also try and check out the His Dark Materials on HBO.
Yeah, that's on our list.
So we'll try and get that one reviewed too.
One episode, so it's kind of hard to do it just off the one. So I think let's just give that like 2 or 3.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Cool. So let's dive into our discussion of The Mandalorian. Full warning. This is going to be 100% spoilers. We are not going to do spoiler free. We're going to dive into everything, and we're going to talk a little bit about a lot of the Easter eggs because. The plot itself was pretty short, so there's not a lot to talk about there, but there's a lot of juicy details about possibly what the show is, what it could be, and just our overall first impressions about the first ever live-action Star Wars show. I mean, I guess not the first ever because the holiday special came out first, but which is actually a good place to start because The Mandalorian had not 1, not 2, not 3, but like 8 holiday special Easter egg references in The Mandalorian.
Yeah. I think was it written by Jon Favreau or was he just?
I don't know if it was written by Jon Favreau. I know it was directed by Dave Filoni, who did the Clone Wars. I think it was written by Jon Favreau, but it's I do think there's a writers' room, so it might be a collective. I didn't pay attention to that. I know the show's being ran by Jon Favreau, but But yeah, Dave Filoni, the guy who directed Clone Wars, who created Star Wars Rebels and did most of the Star Wars Clone Wars. So if it felt a little bit like Star Wars Clone Wars and Rebels, well, I don't think that's a coincidence. But yeah, anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about with the holiday special, so back in 1978, George Lucas released, or maybe it was 77, I don't even know. George Lucas released maybe it was 79, I don't know. In the 70s, George Lucas released a 2.5-hour variety show holiday special, which me and my good friend X4 Reed over Utah Outcast have done a Mystery Science Theater 3000 style commentary over the movie. So if you guys ever want to check that out, that's on our YouTube page. But it is one of the most atrocious things you will ever see. But, fun fact, Boba Fett actually came from that special. There was a 14-minute animated clip that introduced us to Boba Fett and the Mandalorians in general. And funny enough, they really pulled a lot out of that for this Mandalorian. So his gun is from the animated series. Some of the things about a ship, some of the things about the animals, the life day was referenced in this. That's from the holiday special.
Yeah. See, I didn't watch the holidays, but I did catch some of the stuff because I just known from like what people have said previously, so I didn't catch all of them. But I did read an article about all the Easter eggs, so the next time I watch the episode again, I'll try to catch all the references. But
yeah,
I did get a couple of them, and I kind of looked at my son, and it just completely went over his head because he doesn't know anything about the holiday special.
The holiday special is a deep cut. I do love that Jon Favreau had been interviewed, and him and Filoni were joking about how Jon is like adamant that he wants to make sure that the holiday special becomes canon. And so it's officially canonized now. So the Mandalorian takes place five I've heard 7, but apparently it's 5 years after Return of the Jedi. It follows a lone gunman, the Mandalorian, one of the last, not last of his species or race, but he's definitely there. We see other ones in here, but he's definitely one of the, they're a dying species of people. They come from the planet Mandalore. They're a warrior race of beings that have had their planet destroyed.
They trolled a galaxy at one point or something?
Yeah, if you go way back into canon, we could spend all night talking about this, but you can go way back into canon when the Mandalorians controlled half the universe. They had the Great Mandalorian Wars. Their planet was eventually split in half. People... the Mandalorians, because they're fighters, if you're a big Star Trek fan, think of kind of like the Klingons a little bit. A warrior race of people that would be hired out as bounty hunters or soldiers. Over the years, if you dive into the Clone Wars animated series, there's a lot left of kind of the remnant, the last stand of the Mandalorians. But ultimately, their planet was pretty much conquered and by Darth Maul and a whole bunch of separatists, and everybody kind of scattered throughout the universe, the remnants left of them. The armor that Boba Fett wears is the Mandalorian armor, even though Boba Fett isn't a Mandalorian. But this takes place in Mandalorian. We have a lone gunman. He's a bounty hunter. Pretty badass, vicious dude, and gets his bounty. What did you think of that whole opening cantina scene?
I love that whole scene. That was pretty sweet. It just like, you spilled his drink. Like, I think he's trying to tell you that he spilled his drink.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
And then he just kicks everyone's ass. That was hilarious. I do like that. I know a lot of people didn't like that blue alien. I thought it was pretty great. I liked how funny he was.
The guy getting squished in the door.
Well, no, I'm talking about the blue alien. That was there was the corn who got cut in half. I didn't expect that. I was like, ugh. Yeah. But yeah, no, the guy the guy who he saves to collect the bounty on and takes him in. I like how that almost played out like a horror movie when they're on the ship and he's like talking, the blue guy's talking, he's trying to find a way out, and he goes downstairs and then he sees all the frozen carbonite and he's just like, oh my god, and then all of a sudden the Mandalorian's just like behind him.
Yeah, I started laughing when he found the frozen carbonite. Yeah, that guy he's screwed.
Dude, so I need to watch it again. Apparently, people are saying that one of the people in the frozen carbonite is George Lucas.
What? I'll have to look at that.
So there's a guy who's kind of a bigger guy with a beard. Apparently that's supposed to be George Lucas. I'm going to watch it again. One of the other things I did like about that scene is we got to see our very first Star Wars toilet.
Yes, there are toilets in space.
That has been long joked about, is there toilets in the Star Wars universe, and we finally found one. But
it was right next to the stairs. So
well, there was a lot of toilet talk in there.
Just gotta go down the stairs.
Yeah,
really fast.
there was like no stall or nothing. But there was a lot of toilet talk early on when they were in that speeder, and the guy's talking about how everyone's dropping their gray tanks and it's attracting all these monsters, and then the guy gets eaten by a monster. That was hilarious.
Yeah,
there was some good humor in this episode.
Rancor or Rancid or something.
Yeah, it looked like a giant like hippopotamus crocodile. I don't even know what it was. That was my one thing I didn't quite like. That it was. I didn't like how they didn't show us like each planet, like even like Rogue One when they were going to different planets to tell us what the planet was, because like I had no sense of it where we were in the galaxy in this at all.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I didn't notice that. They didn't have. Usually they'll put the title of the planet that they're going to.
Yeah, I mean, especially if the show's going to do a lot of planet hopping, which it seems like it's gonna, which is fine. It'd be nice to know what kind of where everybody's going, and not have to read about it later in some comment section. But I mean, it's a small complaint. But yeah, I mean, I thought that was really good. There was a lot of good kind of Star Wars type humor in this, and then then from there, maybe he goes and collects his bounties and gets paid, and we see a little bit of the Bounty Hunters Guild and kind of how that works. And then we get some cool flashbacks where we see a Mandalorian. So he ends up taking a meeting with this Imperial. So the Empire's fallen at this point, but we got some crazy Empire scientists and crazy, I don't know, remnants left.
This is 5 years. Yeah, you said it was 5 years after the Empire had fallen. So everything it seems like everything's in that really super chaotic phase where, it wasn't that the Separatists won. Or Empire, the Rebels won, and then everything was like, woo, yeah, we just took right over, and everything's good now. Like, no, stop with stuff for a while.
I thought they did a pretty good job of kind of showing that, how, like, yeah, the Empire is gone, but not really. Things aren't really great yet for anybody. The world's, the galaxy's kind of in chaos. Ah, where's your light? Tell the dog to get out of the way.
Oh, my dog trying to get in on the show.
Trying to hijack the show. But yeah, we meet this Imperial, like, I don't know, ex-governor or something. I'm not sure what he was. Imperial somebody who wants the Mandalorian, since we don't know his name yet. We just call him the Mandalorian. Wants the Mandalorian to track down.
Like I do, just says the Mandalorian.
Yeah, wants him to track down another target. This target has no name, but it's 50 years old and has a tracking device. So he takes the thing because they're going to pay him a lot. If any of you were confused about what they paid him in, so basically, I forget the name of it, but that metal, it wasn't money. What it is it's a metal that they use on Mandalorian to make their armor. And so it's kind of a rite of passage to piece your armor together to become like a full-fledged warrior, right? And so they had clearly had a bunch of this metal. They were going to give him a lot more. So, we get a good look at seeing that the Mandalorian culture is completely fractured, right? He's actually taking these bounties to help with what they call foundlings, so basically kids that had no parents. He's donating his money to helping the Mandalorian children who've lost their parents. He has the metal that they give him for this job. He makes a shoulder pad, tells him to take the extra and give it away to any other Mandalorians who need it. So, I mean, clearly the Mandalorians have become kind of a nomadic race of people who are trying to rekindle some of their culture.
Yeah. And then the Mandalorian even said that he had found a foundling himself, and the armor said, yes, I know. And
but he still had
a big deal because I asked my son. He said that there's a whole season of the Clone Wars that was on the Mandalorians, and they really explain why, like what happened with all the children.
Well, and apparently he hasn't, he hasn't found his sigil yet. So apparently, as they piece together and become more like, I don't know, as they get enough armor, eventually they get their sigil, which is like their clan emblem or whatever. So I'm not sure. I do think this show is going to dive a lot more into Mandalorian culture. We also got that Mandalorian, like I think it was a girl, but the Mandalorian like blacksmith. That kind of Greek helmet she had was awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty rad looking.
I liked two things. Two things I hadn't heard before. So one is that this new group of Mandalorians won't take their helmet off. That's not something they did in Rebels or the Clone Wars. They took their helmets off. These new people are like, we keep our helmets on from.
Yeah.
And second, I liked how they had so much different variants between their helmets.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
So the armor, I'm trying to remember. I don't think the armor had a whole bunch of stuff on.
Mm-mm. No, his was real basic and real plain. That's what I'm saying. I think because they don't really have, they used to have their clans, and I think because they don't really have clans anymore, they've lost a lot of who they are.
Oh, okay.
And so I think they're trying to kind of piece it back together a little bit. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll get more of that. But what we did get is, as the blacksmith is pounding, we get a lot of flashbacks to the Mandalorian as a child with his. I'm guessing that's Mandalore, and I'm guessing that's the kind of the siege of Mandalore. Which, if it is, because we saw battle droids in the background and some of the separatist type ships, it could be. So in the Clone Wars cartoons, like I said, Darth Maul leads an army of droids and stuff down to take out the Mandalorians. So that could be what we're seeing in these flashbacks, which would make sense because he keeps saying he doesn't like droids, he doesn't want to work with droids. He's like, no droids. They brought up a speeder that had a droid, and he's like, nope, get those droids out of here. Later, when he meets IG 11, doesn't want to work with that droid. But so we got some flashbacks. Hopefully, we're gonna get a lot more flashbacks. Okay, there's a cameo in here that we're going to talk about, but we'll talk about it in questions. So someone asked specifically about it. So I'm not skipping that. We'll get to that in a minute. So from there, he goes to this planet. I believe it's Tatooine. I don't really know, but they did have Scalacious Crumbs, which I thought was hilarious. These guys, R.I.P., roasting on an open fire.
Yes, I know. I saw that one, and I was like, ah!
Yeah,
and
the ones
that was one of the times where we paused it, and we had to pause it and we wound a little bit, and we're like, ah!
And I like how they cut to the cage, and the other one's like, oh god, he's like, oh shit. But and so we meet he's tracking his bounty. We end up meeting Nick Nolte's character, who's an Ugnaught, who says things like, I have spoken. That was a whole weird sequence. You must ride a blurg. Yeah, like the blurg attacks him, and then there's this whole weird scene where he has to learn how to ride a blurg. And then
Okay, but he said something like the Mandalorians used to ride a mythosaur.
Yeah.
And how come you can't ride this blurg? And then he does the
Jedi mind trick on it, basically. Yeah, so, that whole thing was kind of weird to me. I'm sure we're gonna get more, but it leads us to the big part of this episode, in my opinion, which is we meet the IG. I think IG-11, I think is his name. The hunter killer, the bounty hunter droid. We've seen these guys. IG-88 is by far the most famous one from Empire. We've seen them, but we've never quite seen them in action in real life. In Clone Wars, they do some stuff, but man, it did not disappoint. This droid was incredible. It had 4 arms. It kept spinning. It killed 50 people. And then I loved how every single time it was about to die, it was like, I must self-destruct, and a thermal detonator would pop out of its chest.
Yeah, it's just like this thing that opens up.
Yeah. No, I liked how him and then even him and the Mandalorian, he's like, all right, I say we'll team up and I give you half. I find your terms acceptable. Like the way he talked about everything. And it was just, I don't know, that whole scene was great. The action I thought was really good. And just the comedy was, it was absolutely Star Wars type comedy. I was dying.
That whole scene was, it was crazy. And, at one point my son was like, how many people are in this building?
There were so many people. There was so much murder that happened in this episode.
Yeah.
Well, it was kind of a strange tone because Disney really did go out of their way to try and make the Mandalorian he's a badass who kills people, but he's also a good guy. And I think the reason why they did that is it makes sense of the ending of this episode. So IG and the Mandalorian, they kill everybody. They've tracked their bounty into this room. They go into this room, and what do they find? They don't find a 50-year-old man or a woman or a Jedi. They find a little baby Yoda.
Yes. And I like how it said, it says it's 50, and then IG-11 says, well, they age differently, and my son goes, and it's right when the IG-11 said, some species age differently, my son gasped.
Oh, you know what?
And they show the little baby Yoda coming out, and he's like,
I was like, no,
his head literally just went
Dude, for a minute I thought it was going to be Rey. And I'm like, no, they're not going to tie it in that much. Because I watched it with my two girls, and they both like, is it Rey? Is it Rey? And I'm like...
Is it baby Rey in there?
I do love, can I just say, I do love that my daughters are making that connection with the time period. Rey had no parents, and they're like, is it Rey? And then when they said the same thing about age differently, I'm like, no. And it was a little cute, it's the cutest little baby looking Yoda you've ever seen in your life. And then IG-11 immediately tries to terminate, and he's like, what are you doing? And he's like, we got orders to terminate, which was, because the Mandalorian got orders to dead or alive, right?
Yeah.
And so he immediately kills IG-11, which hopefully he'll be back because that droid is hilarious.
You just see the blaster shot.
Yeah, you just see his head explode and him fall over. Did you know that was voiced by Taika Waititi?
Rainier, fucking Christ!
Come on, dog. We're in the middle of our Mandalorian discussion. So IG-11 was voiced by Taika Waititi, who's going to come back and direct another episode. So hopefully he comes back. I really like him. If you guys don't know who IG-11 is, or Taika Waititi is, he's also the guy who voiced Korg in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, I think we definitely more of them. You always have to have one droid on any Star Wars property. You gotta have at least one droid that sticks around and does stuff. So
yeah, I mean, we'll see if he's back or not. I mean, I don't think we're done with the IG droids, but IG-11 may be dead. Maybe we'll get IG-12 next, but yeah, and so that's kind of how it ends with him looking at this baby Yoda, leaving us with a lot of questions of what is this, who is this. I've never had more people text me and ask me about Yoda in my entire life. Like, what's the name of his race of people? Like, is that a baby? What is that? So I'm going to give you all the information. I'm going to give you the information dump. This is what I do know about expanded universe lore and what's in the universe.
And you can look it up on the Star Wars wiki. It's literally like 3 lines.
Yes. So George Lucas has never named the race of aliens that Yoda is, and now there is another one we have seen in canon. Yaddle, a female version of Yoda, did appear in the Phantom Menace on the Jedi Council. Now she disappeared after that, and nobody knows what happened to her. But George Lucas purposely never gave Yoda a species name or homeworld, and did not talk about his past because he wanted him to be a mysterious, kind of wise wizard, and felt like giving him too much of a backstory would ruin that. It's just, and they've never had a reason to go back and give him a backstory. So, in some of the expanded universe that is no longer canon, there has been 2 or 3 different warriors in the past that were the same species as Yoda. Not much known about them, except for they were all very powerful Jedi Masters. So, it is possible. So, as far as the baby Yoda goes, it's possible. There's a couple of things that's possible. Number one, if the baby's 50, clearly they don't age the same way as humans do. Or it's possible that baby has also been in cryostasis. The baby could be 50 years old, but still only be like 6 months old.
Yeah.
So we don't have all the answers yet, but as far as the timeline goes, this would put it squarely about the same year Anakin Skywalker was born. So that would take place. A lot of people are like, oh, could it be Yaddle's kid? Could it be Yoda's kid? I don't think it's Yoda's child, to be honest with you. But either way, this baby would have been born.
You didn't know I was.
Yeah, Yaddle and Yoda. Either way, this kid would have been born about 8 years before Phantom Menace, and like I said, which does coincide about the same time as Anakin being born. So take that as what you will.
This baby Yoda is the actual chosen one.
Yes. So there's a few options. One, it could be obviously Yoda or Yaddle's child, which I don't think it is. 2, this could just be a random baby from the species that is Yoda, and it's possible that they are all strong Force users. So maybe, maybe the Empire remnants just want this kid because how Force sensitive it is, or I mean, they're trying to rebuild and trying to fight back the rebellion or trying to do whatever. Having a super powerful Jedi, Sith on your side would be a thing to have. So, or they could just want to experiment on it because that's what the Empire does because they're evil.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking the Stalkers wanted it alive for, because they're going to experiment on it.
The other option that I think this is my guess. So I think this is a clone of Yoda. Now, the things that lead me to believe this is a clone is one, this clone is about the same time. This clone would be around the same time that the clone army was created with the Kaminoans. So we already know that there's cloners in this universe. We already know that they were active. We already know that Darth Sidious was in touch with these cloners because he was creating a clone army. He knew who they were. He knew how to get in touch with them. It is highly possible that a clone of Yoda, maybe he created a clone of Yoda to eventually train to be an apprentice. It is possible the Emperor had multiple clones, that he would whip one out if he needed a new Sith apprentice. Who knows what Sidious had in his back pocket, but we do know that clones played a heavy part of the prequel trilogy, which is where this baby is from the prequel timeline. Right. So it is possible that it's a clone. The other piece of evidence that makes it believe it could be a clone, other than it looks just like a little cute baby Yoda, is that the Doctor. So when they give the Mandalorian the assignment, there's two people from the Empire, not including the rusty-looking stormtroopers. There is an Imperial trooper, clearly some kind of a commander, and then there's a doctor, an Imperial doctor that shows up from the Science Division. He's wearing a Science Division uniform, very much in line with the Galen Erso from Rogue One, the Science Corps uniforms. But on his arm, now I did not spot this, so I cannot take credit for this. I saw this online. On his arm, he is wearing a patch. It is the same patch that the clone troopers wear when they are clones on Kamino. It is the Kamino Science clone patch.
Oh.
So, it would lead you to believe that this doctor is familiar with the Kaminoans and maybe is familiar with clone technology, and they want this kid because they had heard or they knew that there was a clone of Yoda or Yaddle or somebody floating around. So, why do they want him? Who knows? It's the Empire. But my going theory is that this is a clone of Yoda. How will that play out? I have no idea, because we know that we have not seen another Yoda running around, but
we will find out on Friday.
Me personally,
episode 2 comes out.
Here's my theory. I believe Rey is a clone, and I think that they are laying the groundwork so that we know they've already said, Kevin Feige and them have already said that the Disney shows and the Marvel shows will tie into the movies greatly. I think they could be laying the groundwork for clones, bringing back clones, so that way we are not all taken completely sideways when we find out that Rey is in fact a clone of Emperor Palpatine. Or maybe Anakin Skywalker. I don't really know.
Or if this is 35 years before the New Order, the First Order, this clone, it pops up in the next movie. If the baby Yoda's there, it'll be like, it's 50 now, 35.
They're not bringing a new Yoda into this next movie.
Almost 90 years old.
Be a young badass Yoda. I don't know. Maybe we're gonna get a new Yoda. Maybe this is how we're gonna get our new Yoda trilogy.
Yeah.
Is that we'll have a clone Yoda running around the Empire with a clone Rey. It's probably, you know what? Now that I think about it, I've always said Rey is a clone. Hang on, I just had a thought. I've always told everyone Rey is a clone. I think Rey is a clone of the Emperor, but I'm thinking Rey actually might be a clone of Anakin. That would make a lot more sense.
They just made him a girl instead of...
Well, just because, maybe they made him a girl because then people would know, nobody ever would know what he looked like if he was a clone of a guy, so he made him a girl. And Rey does kind of look like Hayden Christensen a little bit.
Man, Kylo Ren's all like...
Oh my god, that means Luke and Leia is technically her children. and she could be a Skywalker, so it would be Rise.
For his grandpa,
so in essence, it would be Rise of Skywalker, because she would be a Skywalker.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. We've just solved Rise of Skywalker. Anyway, all right. Anything else? Do you have anything you want to ask me, or you'd watched, or any questions, Jen?
No, I am excited for episode 2 that releases on Friday. So if anyone was confused, yes, it did come out on Tuesday.
Oh, okay. They're going to release on Fridays?
But every episode from now on is going to be dropping on Fridays. So there's going to be a second episode this week.
Oh, sweet. Ooh. I didn't know that. I'm excited. You did tell me something I didn't know. I'm so excited. Nice work, Ryan. All right, cool. Check it out, Mandalorian. If you don't know what we're talking about, subscribe to Disney Plus. Check it out. It's a brief 39 minutes, which was kind of shocking. I hope they're a little bit longer going forward, but there you go, Mandalorian. All right, real quickly before we get out of here, Ryan, from the Faithful 15, we had some questions. What What do the people want to know?
This week. Let's see. Oh no.
Did you lose him?
3. I'm stalling, Brian.
All right, hang on. I can do my happy dance.
I had it open.
Did somebody say Mando?
And now, a whole bunch of stuff. So first, we have... so every Wednesday before the show drops, I find a fun photo. And I release a question post on our Facebook page that we both don't really like Facebook, but hey, it does what it does. So first question from the Faithful 15 comes from not our good friend Chris, the other Chris, the one that we kind of tolerate, I guess.
Evil Chris, he's back.
So he wants to know, was Boba Fett in the background in The Mandalorian? I did not see Boba Fett.
So, yes. So, about the 18-minute mark, when the Mandalorian goes to meet the blacksmith, in the background is kind of a helmeted figure walking by. Now, I did not catch this. I caught that it was looked like possibly another Mandalorian. People have froze framed that and brightened it up. It is indeed Boba Fett walking by. Same color, same outfit, same helmet, same everything. Now, here's the question. Is it just kind of a cameo Easter egg, like, hey, we're acknowledging that Boba Fett, like, this is where it comes from? Or is this just the first appearance of a character we're going to get more of later? I tend to think this show was originally slated to be a Boba Fett film. I do think we're going to get some Boba Fett in this.
So, I would like to see more of the Mandalorian stuff, where he goes down and he sees the armor and everything like that. And it makes sense, like if he's gonna mess up this bounty or not. Is it gonna, they're gonna have to send another bounty hunter after him, and who other than Boba Fett?
Yeah, that's I'm with you. That's what I think. I want to see. I don't want Boba Fett to become the point of the show. I want this to be about the Mandalorian. I like this character. I want to see more about him.
It should be Sarlacc pits everywhere. And,
I would love to see, maybe even like at the end, right? Maybe at the end of the show, you get like a tease of, next season Boba Fett's going to be hunting him down, right? Something like that. I think I want Boba Fett to be part of this.
Is Boba Fett in a Sarlacc pit at this point?
He should be, but who knows? We'll see. Maybe we'll get some backstory on what happened to Boba Fett. But yeah, no, you weren't wrong. That was Boba Fett in the show.
Okay. All right. So our next question comes from Jeff.
All right.
And he says, what TV show does your significant other watch that makes you cringe because of how bad it is? And he says his answer is easy. His significant other likes to watch Teen Mom. Ugh. And he said, enough said.
Yeah, my wife doesn't really watch too many bad shows. I mean, she watches a lot of reality shows, but they're always usually fairly entertaining, like Alaska Wilderness Liver, people who live in Alaska, or they're kind of bad, but she watches a lot of like what's that real 911 show they do now? Live PD.
No, that was for some reason my wife and kids like that one, but the one that my wife watches that I just do not understand whatsoever is she watches all the Real Housewife shows. Ugh. Like every single one of them.
Oh my god!
And I'm like, and I ask her, like, you hate all these people on the show. She's like, yeah, I do. I'm like, well, then why do you watch it if you hate all these people? She's like, she's like, it's just interesting.
Well, my wife used to watch...
This goes against everything that you are as a person and that you're trying to teach our daughter to be to grow up into. And I don't know why she watched it, but yeah, all the Real Housewives shows, those are the ones that my wife...
Yeah, my wife used to watch the Kardashians, which is terrible. But yeah, I mean, like all the shows she watches now, she'll watch animal vet shows. I mean, it's weird to walk in and somebody's got their hand up a cow's ass or something. I'm like, what are you watching? I usually make fun of her, but then if I sit down with a couple minutes, I'll end up watching 20 minutes of it with her. So, I mean, they're not really bad. They're just trash TV, I guess. I don't know.
Yep. All right, our next one comes from Christine, and we haven't heard from her in a while.
What's up, Christine?
So she wants to know, she had a couple questions, but the first one is, what is on your kids' list for this year for Christmas? Let's see. So my oldest son, last weekend we just had a paintball birthday party at a paintball field, and he got to invite 8 of his friends and 4 of us dads. We bought a 4-person pass so the dads could play too. Mm-hmm. Mostly just because shooting your own children is amazing. But he had a lot of fun. This was his second time paintballing, and the only thing that he wants for Christmas now is a paintball gun set. Oh, nice. He wants the mask, the gun, everything.
Well, that's easy.
There's a very high chance. My daughter, she basically wants to go to, she wants a $300 Home Depot gift card, and she wants to go to Home Depot and get a whole bunch of lumber and a table saw, and she wants to just build stuff.
Oh, nice.
So,
there you go.
I can't disagree with that. She just wants to get a whole bunch of lumber and build dog houses.
Nice.
I don't know.
My kids want, what do they ask for? My oldest is really into anime, so she's been asking for she wants all these themed hoodies now. She's really big into hoodies, with the whole hoodies a scene from the show.
Yeah.
She likes those. The Legos. They want Star Wars Legos, Harry Potter Legos. Legos are real big on my house right now. A couple Xbox games. That's about it, man. Same with my youngest. My youngest wants all Legos. That's all she asked for was Legos.
Yeah.
Funko Pops.
Funkos.
Sorry, I wish it'd be more helpful.
What about you?
I mean, I told my kids they couldn't ask for toys, so.
Who cares about the kids, Brian? What's on the top of your wish list this year? Also
Legos. I want the new Star Wars Fallen Order game. I asked for a pair of Jordans.
Yeah.
The norm. Big screen TV, sound system.
All right.
Peace on earth, goodwill towards men and women.
Next question from Christine. She needs help to solve a debate, Brian.
All right.
Do you leave your toilet seat open or closed?
Open. Always.
Real is open.
Listen, my kids and wife are heavy sleepers. They would probably just pee on top of the toilet lid if I left it open.
They wouldn't notice that there's a flat surface?
Nope.
Yeah, we're an open family at our house, so.
So I guess you're the weirdo, Christine.
All right, next one's coming from Brian, not you, but the other Brian. He wants to know, what is the second show that you watch on Disney Plus? Because I think he obviously knew.
Yeah.
That The Mandalorian was going to be our number one.
I'm sure he did. So, I mean, I guess it doesn't count as a show, but the second thing I watched was a Star Wars movie. I watched that New Hope. I haven't had a chance to watch the second series yet, but the next series I'm going to watch is I'm going to start binge watching a Clone Wars.
Yeah. Mine was that Noel movie, the Christmas movie, because apparently we're already celebrating Christmas in my house.
I refuse until after the weekend, the day after Thanksgiving. It can be all Christmas all the time, but until then, nope.
So that was my second one, and that was it for the question for this week.
All right, well, thank you everybody who gave us a question. They were great ones. Usually we spend more time answering, but we went super long talking about how much we love Mandalorian and Disney Plus. So, but we do appreciate your questions. You guys are always awesome as usual. Thank you for spending a little time with us. So, all right, Ryan. Well, I think that's the show for tonight. So before we get out of here, would you like to tell everybody where they can find us?
Of course, you can find us on YouTube at the Geek Dad Report and Twitter at the Geek Dad Report, where Brian is BrianWest53 and I am Big Bruiser. We're on Facebook at the Geek Dad Report, and you can find us on podhell.com and on iTunes. So make sure that you like, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, and then tell some of your friends about us, because we're almost on the 200th episode, and we need 5,000 more followers.
5,000. That's it.
Yes.
You guys can easily do that. We have faith in you. We have all the faith in the world in you. This thing's cool, but it falls apart really easy. The BB-8 is much more durable.
Yes.
5,000. Let's get on it, everybody. All right, well, until next time, we might have a show next week. We've been kind of doing it every other week. We might do one next week, though, because the following week is Thanksgiving, so we'll play it by ear. But until next time, everyone, stay awesome.
And stay nerdy, everybody.
And watch The Mandalorian. It's really good.
And all the other Disney Plus stuff.
You'll spend your whole life doing it. Later.
Yeah.